We're seeing a big jump in home construction. Stock market's up about 40% since March. And Newsweek magazine says the recession is over. I mean, if Newsweek magazine says it, maybe it's a sign it's really over.
It's a jinx. It's like when you put the sports team on the front of Sports Illustrated and say this is the best team ever. This is a surefire jinx. Let's put that away. Unemployment's still a big problem, of course, for many Americans. It doesn't matter much if we're out of a recession or not. If you're out of work. Roben Farzad is a senior writer and columnist for Business Week. So you work for Business Week, so you must think that the Newsweek thing is for sure a jinx.
I'll tell you what I think. Whenever I peer with you two, I realize that I have a face only a radio's mother could love.
Oh, that's not true.
Do radios have mothers?
Anyway.
We knew where you were going.
What, is the recession over?
The recession, the losses might well have abated. The worst of the wildfire that we saw through last year and this year might well be over, but that doesn't mean we're regenerating anything. The problem, as you've seen in that story, and economists, including Ben Bernanke and the Obama administration talking, is we don't have a story. We don't have anything to hang our hats on thematically. What is it that we do anymore? If it isn't internet innovation or mortgage alchemy, what is it that we ultimately do?
Alchemy, I like that.
That really requires big thinking. It requires the sort of pioneer spirit that made our country a giant in the first place. There is a chance. I mean,
where are we going with this, Contessa?
Well, I've asked this question before. If you're looking at our nation and what can we export, we know it can't be what we exported in the past because other countries can do it more efficiently than we can. They can make those products cheaper. But what about green technology, which we're going to need? The world requires to use our resources more efficiently. Why aren't we creating incredible batteries and windmills that actually are effective
at turning? Is there a market for that? I don't know if there's a huge market for that right now.
But if you build it, they will come. What do you think, Robin?
I absolutely agree with it, and there's a sliver of hope that hopefully that can recharge the spirits and the imagination and get people into thinking about green economic thinking. But going back even to this Daniel Gross story, I know I'm touting a competitor's piece here. He made a great point in that the Clinton administration, when it convened that economic task force coming out of the recession of the early 90s, the word internet was not mentioned once, according to Larry Summers and the other people who were consulted. It tends to come out of the blue and blindside you. We don't necessarily know, however premeditated we want to be, it's going to come out of left field in all likelihood. What we do know is we have Silicon Valley, which is still at the top of its game. We have certain corridors of clean tech development, but so do the Chinese, so do the Israelis.
And the other thing is, I mean, if you look at the 70s, the green movement was very strong then because there was an oil embargo on. Gas prices went really high, and it made it more lucrative to think about using our resources more efficiently. If we are out there begging the Saudis to give us their oil, then
we're not begging right now. Prices are much lower. That's kind of the problem, is that prices have fallen so much.
Now we're begging them to buy our debt. So, you know, either way, where is the big thinking on what gets us to move to the next generation of exports?
It could happen from an innovation. We could have a really unbelievable car or battery come out of left field, or necessity could be the mother of invention. The way, Melissa, you saw $4 gasoline cause a real curtailment of consumption last year. It's going to happen one way or another.
Let me take this back to a more basic level. Friday we have the big GDP number out that's going to tell us what happened in the second quarter, and it's our first look at that, and it's going to shape discussion for a little while after that. What do you think is going to happen? Is it going to be a negative number? We're going to see another contraction? I
mean, even if we're just a couple of fractions of a couple of basis points down, it is freezing cold comfort for an economy that's approaching 10% unemployment. We need almost 2% GDP growth to keep up the pace where we're at already. We need far higher GDP growth to eat into this double-digit unemployment.
Is it going to kill the rally we've seen in the market?
The market is up tremendously since the March 9th lows. And what we haven't seen, as you know, following this all the time, there is no revenue growth. This has all been a function of cost cutting. The hope is something catches fire and companies start selling more so they could bank to the bottom line. But hope springs eternal.
They're more productive, though. All right, Roben Farzad, we could do this all day. Thank you.
Shucks. Thank you.
All right, Main Street versus Wall Street now. News about the price of oil.